Alrighty, welcome back. I'm your man Bad Chad and Queen Jolene's on the camera and we are on air. We are working on the fender skirt today. We've got the fender skirt all tacked on. We've got all the pieces, all the hooks made for the wheel lip itself. We put some shape in the bottom one. We put some shape in this one. We put the shape in this one, or all the round rod, to make the shape of the fender skirt that we want. I cut off the hook on this one and I cut off the hook on this one because I enjoyed the hook that we put on this one. The hook kind of ran up past and give us a little bit more weld on there, a little more security, so I just made another hook. We put it on there. You can see we made a little tiny piece of flat stock goes underneath there. It's got a hole drilled in it. You got a bolt coming down through, so there's a hole drilled in the bottom of the fender with a piece of flat stock down there. There's a hole drilled on the down here. On this with the flat stock going underneath the fender there, so it's bolted on. So this is what's going to happen. I'm going to explain to you so there's no confusion. What I'm doing, I'm using the car as a buck to make the fender skirt. When it's tacked to the fender, it's holding the fender skirt in place. The fender skirt's going to be able to come off because these tacks are just holding it in place. Once the fender skirt is made, these tacks get undone and pulled away, so the fender skirt is just kind of laying against the fender with the hooks. The hooks are holding the fender skirt tight to the fender. The bolts on the bottom are holding the fender skirt up in place. So basically, once the tacks are let free, the fender skirt stays exactly where it's at. You unbolt it, pull the fender skirt down, your fender skirt comes off, you change the wheel. It's the exact same process as I did the hood for the petroleum truck or the gas truck. Exact same thing. I'm tacking everything in place and then I'm making it. Every piece of round rod is I put a little bit of shape in it, so we have shape. If Jolene comes from the backside, doesn't have to do it right now, but when she comes from the backside, you can see that the fender skirt has got a nice shape to it. It's got a shape to it. Got a shape to it, got a shape to it, got a shape to it. Everything's got a shape to it. If she wants to go on the back side and take a look. So we're at where we're at the present second. It could be skinned. I have made a pattern of the fender skirt. Just laid with the straight edge on the bottom of the fender skirt. I laid the Bristol board on that. And then we took my finger and I rubbed over top of the round rod on the fender skirt, and that's how I know where to cut it off. All right, so as I got that done and I looked at it, after I sat down and looked at it, I did not like it. And I'll tell you the reason why. I did not like it because when I stood back and looked at it, it took me a little bit, but when I stood back and looked at it, I liked how much distance there was from the round rod up to the top of the fender. It really went nice. There's bigger distance here, bigger, it's getting smaller, it's getting smaller, it's getting smaller, it's getting smaller, it's getting smaller. It's nice, it's still nice. Then when it comes up here, now I'm going with this line up here with the fender, that's what I'm going with. It gets bigger, smaller, 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 smaller. All of a sudden it gets bigger again. It gets bigger, it gets bigger, it gets bigger, it gets bigger, then it gets smaller again. So basically, what I did not like is that this part of the fender skirt, kind of making them kind of quick, wasn't really paying attention, but from this fender skirt from here, I'll say here somewhere, to there somewhere, I do not like the distance that's showing on the fender. It's all in preference. It does not matter. Does not matter if you notice it or if you don't notice it, but for me, I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with that distance there when I've got that distance there. I'd like to see that distance where it's back there, where it's kind of gradually going from bigger to smaller to smaller to smaller to smaller to smaller, and then I didn't like that. So what I have done, we'll come to the other side, we'll show the other side. We only had enough. I had to go get a new piece of metal this morning, and I had to get another piece of round rod to finish what we were doing. We come to the other side. Me and Aiden did this side. What has happened here is I also did the fender skirt on this side because I took the pattern and I come over and we whipped it up real quick and boom, it was done. Then when I stood back and noticed it, I did not like exactly what I said on the other side. So I took another piece of round rod and put it on the other side, and try to get that distance smaller here, smaller here, smaller here, to bigger, to bigger, to bigger, to bigger, to bigger, to try to make it flow better. That's basically all I was trying to do. So what I'm going to do on the other side, I got a piece bent up. I'm going to stick it on. I'm going to make a new pattern. We're going to cut a new piece of metal to put on it, and that's going to be the fender skirt. So basically, I didn't really need this piece in here, but it's no harm, no foul. Just going to be a little bit of strength. It's not that much weight. It's just another piece of ramrod from there to there. I studded it up in there, kind of kept it going. So I'm going to go over to the other side. I'm going to put that piece in, and then we'll make a new pattern. We'll cut the pattern out of the metal, and then we'll sheath one. See what it looks like. So hold on, and here we go. So what I've done is I've got this piece going here. I just stuck this on here. I got it pre-bent, so we don't have to go with a bunch of, I've got it pre-bent. I'll tell you what's really good to have to do this is the block of wood. And the reason to have the block of the wood is because, to show you real quick with a piece of tape, well, I show you a piece of, is I take the piece of tape and I go here, you can see how I can keep that distance and just make it a little bit. Basically, that's more or less what I'm going for, is trying to keep that better there. That's all I'm doing. Wasting tape, basically. Wasting tape. But that's what I did. Took a piece of tape on there and did that. Now I've got the piece bent. I'm going to put this piece on. A little mark there. I'll stand back and see if I like it. Actually, I'm going to make a mark. Pretty sure I do like it. So it's smaller, 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 gets bigger, bigger, bigger all the way down. Excellent. So I'm going to take the grinder, going to knock off a little bit of paint so I can tack it on better. Knocking off a little bit of paint so I can get that back on. I've got it, I'm gonna have to cut it off here because I got a little, because it's gonna feather off down into here. I've got a little line drawn on this bad boy. I'm going to get my feather wheel. Spark went up my nose, and spark went up my nose. So I'm changing the look of the fender skirt, and I think it's for the better. Fender skirt looks fine that way, I guess, if you were just looking for a fender skirt. I'm looking for a little bit of fender skirt and pleasure for the eye. A little bit of each. That's what I'm looking for. And all it was is that didn't suit me, that's all, when I got looking at it. And I suggest if you don't like something on your car, change it. Sharp. All right, let's put this back on there. Got a little mark where I think it should lie. And I've got I'm gonna go get another pair of clamps so I can make sure it stays where I want it to. There might be something that goes in between. Doesn't reach. I just want to stand back and see if it's feathered off nice, that's all. It's on the right. Stay. I like that. Actually could come down just a little bit. All right, I'm gonna tack that on. See if we can't get a fender skirt put on here. That's what we're going for. Now. I don't feel like, well, let's see. Little spots of weld that I'm putting on, they're just little spots. Buff them off very easily when it comes time. Just little ones, just little baby ones. Morning. Fits so nice. If I don't like it, well, then I'll just come back and yeah. I'm just going to open that up there a little bit. Where that's feathered off there, I might have to do a little bit of welding on top of that when I put my panel on. And the reason being is just to feather it off nice, because, you know, taking a piece of ramrod and laying on another piece of ramrod, sometimes it's not feathered. It might be down there just a little tiny bit, but I can throw some weld on the top of that as I weld the panel on, and then we should be good to go. welding that together there, so that can't take off. We got that welded on there. I'm happy with the way it looks. I got just looking at the distance. Bigger, smaller, smaller, smaller all the way around. And also where I have that ramrod on there, if I have a little too much, then I can just take a little grinder and grind flapper wheel a little bit off. All right, now that I have that tacked on there, I'm just wondering if I should have that down a little bit there, but it's so close that sometimes it's... Okay, now that I have this piece tacked on here, I got to knock these spot welds off, because if I don't knock these spot welds off, I'll never get the fender skirt off. So that's what we're going to do now. I got to weld that there first before I knock anything off. Got to weld this bottom piece here. Just closing my eyes and tacking it. No biggie. Just get this out of the way. Fina wants outside. Shouldn't be walking on my metal, but I'm going to be cutting it, so I got it on the floor now, and it is what it is. It's hard to believe, but walking on the metal on the floor, if there's any little rocks or anything, it puts a dent in it. It does. Gotta look at that fender skirt again. I'm all right with it. I might need a little bit there, but that's called weld. I'm fine. Let's knock these off. Careful as possible. Down my shirt. I'm going to leave this one on for a second, leave this one on, and the reason being is I'm going to put a little stud in there and a little stud in there. I'm thinking that'll pull off. All right, I need a little piece of round. I'm going to stud that up because I want that to stay. Got a piece of small ramrod right here. Just going to stud it up straight. Come see this for a second. As I stick this piece of round stock in there, if you want to take a look, here, come on this whatever side you want to come on. It does not fit the fender the great. It's got a little bit of gap going on there, a little bit of gap going on down there if I put that on that fender. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over to my piece of wood and just knock a little bit of angle in it. It's hard to bend something like that small, but not really. Just put it on my piece of wood here. Get it up on the... A little bend in it. Hoping that'll fit. Yeah. I want a little more bend in it. Just a little bend. I want a little bit more. I also, where it's round rod, I'm going to take the flapper wheel. You can see I already knocked off some of the welds on the front. Also, before we even started putting it on, I'm going to have to knock all the welds off before we start, because if I do not, when I put the sheath on the front, you're going to have a piece poking out or whatever, and you're not going to be happy with that. That piece fits in there very nice now. Nice and tight. Alrighty, let's get another little tiny piece. Another piece of round rod here. I'm going to tack it in better than that, but I want to get this piece put in. It's going to be hot, just like Jolene, hot. Hey, baby. Where'd that go? See it? Come on. I don't want to go on the car. It's a little piece right there, but that's too small. Damn it. See, you know where it went? In my glove. It's in, ouch, it was in the thumb. What do you think of that, people? Huh? Magic trick. Gotta get a little more off. Yeah, it went in that glove. Very happy with my boots. They're called Brunts. Was Tim fibbing me yesterday? Are these made in Australia? Baby says, I don't know. Beautiful. You are, Jolene. Beautiful. I'm going to grab the helmet so I can knock them on the best I can. And I'm just knocking them on from the front side because I can't do much about the back side, obviously. I'll wait till after we get done to them. It's nice to have Aiden in for a couple days. I'm just moving around, doing either side, just trying to keep as much heat down as possible. You could stay on one and just keep welding and welding and welding, but you don't realize every time you weld something, it wants to move. So we got one spot weld there we want to knock off before we take off and start making a pattern, and we got one there we got to knock off before we start making a pattern. I'm using the car as a buck. You can imagine trying to make this and set it on there and taking it over to your bench and then trying to make a piece and bring it back over from your bench and trying to take it back to your... No, it's not for me. You can if you like, but I think it would be more difficult to build it that way than just nailing it right on the car and going for it. I have not hurt the car any. I'm just kind of knocking a little bit of the paint off so we can get stuff done. So I'm going to take and knock off any high welds. All the welds are buffed off there. Knock off this spot weld. Gotta knock them off or it won't get it on. Looking and seeing. That one's free. That one's free. Good. So now we're just tied on with this. We're tied around here. Knock them off, and then pull the bolts out, pull it down, it'll come off. Let's make a new pattern. And what can I say? It's all in preference. I just kind of stood back and didn't enjoy the fender skirt. I could have done it the way it was. But I did not want to. I like it higher in the front, coming back. Tape. I'm going to use this pattern, obviously, because I have it. And I'll add on to it. That's what I'm going to do. Thinking fiber half doo-doo. Didn't do so good job taping it, did I? It's hot there. Nope. Bring it down a little bit. Actually, I don't even want that there. The reason being is, what's the reason being? Actually, take it underneath. Alright, so we're fitting all the way along there, all the way along the bottom. I'll make the pattern a little bigger than it's supposed to be. And when I put that on there, that really showed me the difference. If you take a look at that and you see the fender skirt, you really can tell the difference, how it's thicker here and thinner here. And I wanted to go, I keep explaining that, I don't know why, but. Like standing on the metal, but piece of tape down here. Yeah. Little fun trick. Ah, it wouldn't look so good. Cut on the outside of the line, so I have a little bit big, and I always trim it back with my flapper wheel. Okay. Take a piece of tape here. Try to get it on the ground without. Like I said, any little rock on the ground will dent the metal, and I can't help it. It's on the ground. That's where it's at, and that's where it's going to stay. Don't want anything to happen to the pattern, so I'm going to tape it up good. It's worth the money. Pair of scissors. And what I mean by worth the money, if it goes wrong and it falls apart, then you're all into it again. So it's worth the money to make sure that it stays together for me. Now, if yesterday, if we had the round rod and wanted to, and had the sheet of metal, we could have, me and Aiden could have had these done yesterday without any question. Could have had them placed on there, but where we are committed to doing videos, we decided that we were going to wait, obviously, till we get metal and all that sort of stuff. But yes, it could have been done all in one day, no problem whatsoever. So there we have a fender screw. All right, I'm going to run it with my straight edge for my pattern, like always. I'm going to clean up for a second. Jolene made me coffee in bed this morning. She's an amazing lady. Thank you, Jolene. I'm just going to set this over here. Sometimes you get a mess going everywhere. Probably wouldn't feel very good on the knee, that piece of metal. That was pretty cool how that went in my... Look at that. Lovey-dovey all the time. Alrighty, I've got a marker. I've got some magnets. Going for it. I'm going for it, and the reason I'm going for it is because why would I not? It's got a little dent in that corner. Going to get a hammer. Now, if you recall, this piece, I have it going like this and like this. So that's why it's not straight on the bottom. But we're going to do this. We're going to leave all that metal because we want all that metal. Because if I bring it down and make a shy here in the center, we won't have enough to cover that down there. Around like this and down like this. So that's why it's not going exactly straight across there like that. Let's take, we can always trim that off underneath, no problem whatsoever. It's always best to have a little more than actually need it. Let's see, I got a little thing going on here where that piece of ramrod is. We'll just kind of feather it out so you know we can't even tell. Okay, see what I'm going to do? You know what time it is, ladies. It's grinder time. I'm going to cut that with a zip cut. Now that I look at the fender skirt like that, it looks nice there. You know, when you look at that, it's hard to tell if it's got the right flow or not, but it looks fine. It looks fine. off. Alrighty, I'm going to roll this piece, this is what I suggest, just a suggestion. When you roll something, if I'm doing this fender skirt, I'm not going to roll it this way, and the reason being is it's longer this way. I'm going to roll the longest way. Yeah, so I'm going to roll the longest way. It's from there to there. We've got a little bit of roll in from there to there, but I'm going to roll it this way. I guess basically I'm taking that from putting in a floor in a house. I would run my floor with the longest distance. Basically, if I was, putting a floor down in my house, which I have a couple times, I run the flooring with the longest distance. And yes, you would stagger the joints. On something like this, no. Foolishness. All right. This is going on this side. I have to make sure I roll this thing right. I'm going to get a piece of metal. I'm going to get a piece of metal, try it first. I've made that mistake so many times. Not trying a piece of metal in the roller before I start. Nope, can't get it. Going to, the car's got a rake on it right now. Not looking for that. Probably going to lower it. I'll show you here in a minute or two what I'm going to do to lower it. Way too much. Way too much. Good thing I checked, eh? Straighten it back out. We'll do it again. I'm thinking that's nice. It's a nice roll. When I push that on there, that metal is going to want to pull off. You can see how that's got memory. When I push it on that end, it's going to want to pull that off. So it's not going. I'm not going to be shoving this round rod in. It's not, it's not that strong. It's just light round rod. You can see the little tab that we got bolted there to the bottom of the fender. But basically, that's what's going to happen. That's going to push in. That's going to make that fender skirt want to come off. Alrighty. Have to think about this for a second. This is the front. I'm just going to run this line, try to run this line straight through this end here. Not going to worry about the front because it does not. Got her. Sore arm and all. Baby said you haven't got a sore arm. Look, you roll that thing. Well, a little piece here. Now, let's get the welder going. I will weld the complete. I'll probably weld the fender skirt on completely on the car, and then I will knock off the welds. And the reason being is, just like the hood, if I can weld it on there, I'm hoping that the fender and all the bolts at the bottom hold it in place when I'm welding it. That's what I'm hoping for. That's why I'm actually doing it on the car. I'm using the car. Alrighty. You can see how I push that on there, how it wants to come off. And that's okay. That's what I want it to do. Pull that head a little bit. All right. One's to hold it. Two, it's in place. I just want to try to hold it on there. It's not. And I want to weld it on the round rod in the right place. And the reason being is, see, it's trying to push off all the time, so it's going to give me a little bit of grief. I think it'd be safe for me to run it back with, it's a good idea for me to get down and run it back the same. Now I'm up there a little bit. See that? I'm up there a little bit on that round rod. I knocked that one off. Two, it's in place. I'm up on the bottom of the round rod. When I push it in, I'm up on it a little bit, so I'm going to let this one off. Let it off a little bit. Bring her down just to, here's he. Back on. Hold it on. And it's got to be trimmed off some too, because it does. Holding it on. Got nice down here. That's where I want to weld it, down here. You can see how it's nice there now. I'll be able to grind that off nice there. Nice and tight. Trying to hold it tight. Don't want to get ahead of myself too much. Got to get up in here, start working this back. Start working that back. I'm going to tack it on, and then I'm going to have to come back and flap or reel that edge off to get that edge to the perfect place where I want to weld it on. That's what I got to do, or I'm going to do. There we go. Now we got some shape coming in this bad boy because you can feel it. Oh, there's pressure. It wants to pull off. It's good. It's good. Just kind of working back together. And let Fiend in for a second. Whoa. Whoa. Good job, Fiend. Good job. Now. Put this one on. I really like to cut some of that off. Now I'm going to take a zip cut. I'm going to start slicing some of that off just because I've got a little bit high going on there. It's good pressure. Good pressure. That's probably the exact place I'd want that cut off along the whole way to make that really fit nice. Did that one let go on me? Must have missed on that one. It's tight there. Good. Just gonna walk it down there. You can remember I had a bunch of metal left on the bottom. Actually, it's come to the top because I got the bottom fitting really good. So that's why I'm cutting some off. So I get my third arm there and push that in. Quite a bit of pressure going on that because the metal's kind of wanting to come off. The reason being is because that's about the perfect spot to weld that on. Just gonna work our way and cut it off all the way down. Actually, can cut some. I'm gonna leave that there. Some off the bottom. Cut it out there in places. Beautiful. You are, Joan. Beautiful. Good. Awesome. Pretty good guess. Gotta pull the welder a little bit forward there. Trying to make it work too much by stretching it. Alrighty. There we go. It's tight there. I'm going to go underneath and tack that one. That way there, I know. That there on the bottom, the only place we're fitting really good on the bottom is right in the middle, because the middle is the high spot. Up here, where you can see where it's up in there, so that tells you that the center of this is coming down, so it looks better. If it was turned up, you would notice it. It wouldn't look good. Didn't want to take it in too far. I should have pushed it in a little bit further, probably. Probably undo that one. You want it tight and right. Not moving. Just trying to get it in place with it. It's going to be cut off there, obviously, a little bit too long. Now, let's cut. Let's get this thing fitting good up here. I'll use a flapper wheel on that. I'm going to tack it along here because I got to tighten right. I will have this thing tacked every inch before I start welding it up. That way there I know it's in place. for the zip cut. Cut that. Shut that off for a second. Come on now. Love it. Gotta leave it where it's spotted or it'll just pop off on me, so I'll get it spotted or get it knocked on where I got it nailed down. I nailed it down the middle here first. And then we'll walk our way. Don't let it go until it cools. That way there. It'll be in place when you get back. Want that. Just close my eyes. The wheel. So, knock this on. Just make sure it stays on, that's all. Not pushing real hard, just enough to make sure the metal is on there tight. Now I'm going to stand back and take a look at it. I think it's got a nice flow to it with the fender. I think I'm up. It's going bigger, smaller, 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 all the way around to the front. I'm happy with that. Very, very happy with that. Now I want to look at, see if it's still got shape. Come take a look. If you look down here, you can see how round it is right here. When you come down like that, nice shape going on here. Got a nice shape going on here. It's like Jolene said, the bubble skirts have got quite a bubble on them. But you know what? To me, doesn't matter if the bubble's that far out, that far out, that far out, that far out. As long as you've got shape that's coming out, to me, it's, you know, it's a bubble. Whether it's coming out a long distance or a little distance or whatever kind of distance, it's still bubbled out. And it's bubbled out for the reason why, because we have 5/16 round rod on the outside, so it's at least bubbled out that far. And we have a bunch of shape going on at the bottom that it's really good. So there's no real, no, it's fantastic. So we'll weld that up on there. Then the deal will be to knock off the spot welds that it's spot welded to the fender. And then we will pull it off to see whether, whether it goes on and fits nice when it comes time. But basically that is the skirt. I have to sand the bottom off or cut the bottom off to get that nailed on there right, because it's too long on the bottom. But other than that, that's the fender skirt that I'm going with. All right, everybody, thanks for coming back. I appreciate it. I'm feeling like it's going to work out just fine. The only thing I'm really